Today on Locked On Rockies, as the Rockies continue to claim they're figuring it out, the one thing, well, one of many things remains absolutely true. The Colorado Rockies have to play better away from Coors Field.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 10th day of July in the year 2024. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day. Free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind, just like Joe OB says, going to see the Rockies this Sunday in NY. Really hope they can get the win. Love the videos as always. Love you for tuning in there. Joe, thanks so much for tuning in. Love all of our listeners for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. Shout outs to my everydayers out there. We're going to talk, of course, about the game last night, but I want to focus on the road element. Something, again, that I think the Rockies, we're talking about innovation, right? This season, we're talking about the Rockies finding a new identity. We're talking about this Rockies front office doing new things, at least what we hope and want them to do. And this all circles back to our favorite comments from our favorite owner in the beginning of the year. So it all comes together because I want to focus on that, because there's a theme when it comes to the Rockies and away performance. And there's also a theme in Major League Baseball that we're going to talk about as well, all coming up on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we dive into all the fun today, got to let you know about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes our friends at PrizePicks. This episode brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. All right, folks, so here's the deal. That game last night, there was a couple of things, and the Rockies, Cal Quantrill is a little is shaky for sure, gets roughed up, the rain delay. It's a matter of, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is when these teams like the Reds face the Rockies. I don't know what it is when these teams, these below 500 or middling teams, see the Rockies, they just lick their chops and get ready to go to dominate a team, especially in their home ballpark. I mean, this could have been a situation in which the Rockies were impressing and making a difference in some of their reputation here. This is a Reds team that hasn't played well at home. This is a Reds team that's been, hit or miss, hot and cold here and there. And the Rockies roll in after playing, again, another solid homestand, a stretch in which they play good baseball against good teams. And now it's completely different. And now it's like being outmatched. It's like everything fell apart. And especially when you think about how strong the Rockies pitching was for the vast majority of that homestand, the Rockies on defense in their last 3 games, this includes the final home game against the Royals, the Rockies have let up 28 runs. And the Rockies in their last 3 games during this 3-game losing streak have been outscored by a score of 28-7. They have scored 6 runs in 2 games. So my point is, it's the same pattern over and over and over and over again for the Rockies. Home stretch, great stretch, good week, solid here, 3 in a row loss. And not just losses, blown out, uncompetitive, not close, not in it. Painful losses. These last 2 games, with the exception of a couple of moments, have been painful to watch. The Rockies being so bad on the road is infuriating. And it circles back to one of my main points here when it comes to Dick Monfort and his quotes at the beginning of the year when he's talking about how we've tried all these ideas. We've tried bringing in these people. We've tried this. We've tried that. No, you haven't, because you haven't cracked a couple of codes. You haven't gotten creative enough to address real issues with the Colorado Rockies. And one of them is this team's inability to play on the road. And it's not just this year, it's historically, it's throughout. Here's something for you. Were the Rockies above or below 500 on the road in their playoff runs? I don't have 1995 on me, the record on me right now. I'm just 2007, 2009, 2017, and 2018. Did the Rockies make the postseason at any point when they played below 500 on the road? Yes, once, 2007. What's that record, you ask? It's 39-42. It's one series difference from being a 500 team on the road. 2009, the Rockies go 41-40. 2017, the Rockies go 41-40. And 2018, the Rockies go 44-38. The point is, if you aren't the Rockies and you aren't sitting there and say, by our history, in our limited playoff times, effective away performance, playing well on the road is a key indicator of our success. I know it. You can't just wave a magic wand and put analytics people in and immediately the Rockies are better. But it all goes to, you don't have people looking into this. You don't have people looking into the trends of baseball. You don't have enough people diving deep enough into the weirdness of the Colorado Rockies to start cracking the code. You have instead crossed your arms, said that you've done everything you can do, and said that, maybe I can pull it up here. I'll scroll through. But regardless, when you're so close-minded as an organization, when you're so unwilling to bring in outside perspective, you'll never learn, because there's no one in this franchise, and even in your organization that might have been around during these playoff times, they still haven't fully cracked the code of playing great baseball away from home. But the one thing, if you've been in the organization long enough, that you know is if the Rockies play well on the road, then that means that they might go to the playoffs. They have their best shot at the playoffs. If they finish above 500 on the road, they will make the playoffs. There's a good argument to be made there. But the problem is the Rockies haven't ever been able to, and I know it wasn't going to happen in situations of like this year where obviously we knew the team was going to struggle throughout whatever situation they're in. But for it to be such a big difference still. And this is a team that has been around basically since as long as I've been alive. I turned 30 this year. Where is the innovation? Where is the creativity? Where is the Rockies creating an identity that makes them unique? Well, like they used to, the Blake Street Bombers, they had an identity because they smashed the hell out of the ball. The Rockies don't have any of these. They're not like the Rays where they get creative. They're not like these other teams. They're not like the Guardians who are able to get the most and fully develop. And these other teams that have interesting little things that they've done to get creative to put themselves into situations of success. They have an owner that believes that what he's doing and his team and in his group and in his mind are doing are the best ways to be successful for the Rockies. And so when I see when I see the Rockies struggle so mightily on the road, and it feels like the Rockies as an organization and the response is just throw your hands up and it's baseball and we just got to play better. Okay, sure. Yeah, maybe that's at its baseline. But what do you notice? Where are you interviewing former players to talk about the differences? Are you studying the science? Are you looking into these things? Or are you, again, just saying that, we've got it all figured out? Nope. This is why I get fired up about this stuff, because there could be someone out there that's looked into this data, that's looked into these numbers, that has an idea. Will it work? We don't know. I just want the Rockies as an organization to open up their minds to creativity, open up to the realities of the interesting situation that they are in, open up the fact that they are a unique baseball team. They are not a wealthy baseball team in a big metro market that's going to have the benefit of being in one of those areas. But they have a huge region of untapped baseball fans throughout there that they can create by creating a unique branded version of Colorado Rockies baseball. And they think that they have found that. But what they have found is an increasingly frustrating team with an increasingly worse performance on the road. The Rockies are abysmal on the road this year. And they've been abysmal on the road for a long, long time. And it is unacceptable, plain and simple, flat out unacceptable. Like you can't just sit here as the Rockies organization and be fully confident in oh no, we everything's on the right track. This team has won 12 games on the road this year out of 44. They have lost 32 times. They're getting killed by a rookie. They're getting killed by a guy making his debut right now. They can't stop letting a Reds player who's making his debut stop hitting 440-plus foot bombs from Hines. So when I watch these games and when I watch series like this and I think about those comments from Dick Monfort in the beginning, I get infuriated. Because as this series shows us, as this season has shown us, whatever approach, whatever philosophy, whatever mindset, whatever the Rockies are doing in order to combat the long-standing history of the Rockies being a bad road team isn't working. And unfortunately, and when I look at this, I'm asking Bud Black, I want to know from you, Bud Black, what are the differences between 17 and 18 and now? Is it just the roster? Is it the new wave of great pitching? What isn't working? But unfortunately, all I think I can hear for Bud Black on that one is a classic, that's baseball. That's what I expect to hear. And that's what I expect to hear from the Rockies front office. I don't know. That's what I just get so frustrated by that. Because again, it just is we're watching this season unfold. And again, it's more examples of, is this going to change the minds of the front office? Is this going to spark a change? And if it does, why was it this one? What about this instance that sparked the change other than the millions of other ones that are out there? But it's just plain ridiculous to go play a team that's 5 games below 500, a team that hasn't played well at home, and get outscored 18-6 in the first 2 games. Unacceptable, plain and simple. Quick break. We'll keep breaking it down right here on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Don't go anywhere. Before we move on, we got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Booking.com. Booking.com's got you covered as you are planning your summer travel. It is prime travel time, and maybe you're heading out to go see some baseball games. It's time to explore those U.S. cities you've always secretly wanted to learn more about. And yes, we're talking about San Diego. We're talking about L.A. We're talking about Phoenix. We're talking about your rivals' cities. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay even in your baseball rival city. From hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travels this MLB season. Maybe, like I said, go check out L.A. Or like our friend here, Joe, said in the comments, heading out to go catch the Rockies in New York. Plan a baseball trip of your own, and the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city. No matter where you go, no matter what team you root for, book today on Booking.com. That's Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app. We are also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is my favorite way to buy tickets, and I bet it will become your favorite way to buy tickets. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. I always tell my story about the All-Star game last year. I waited right until first pitch. I got a great deal, and I ended up watching one of the best baseball game experiences of my life as Elias Diaz hits that big time home run. They got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. You can see it all. Like I said, one of my favorite features is that you can see that picture of your seat, and so you know exactly what you're getting when you buy. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. We are free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And speaking of the Locked On Podcast Network, they got a 24/7 streaming channel that's got all your sports coverage there on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today, free and streaming there. And, of course, SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app has got you covered for all your Colorado Rockies play-by-play all season long. Okay, so kind of Rant Philosophy rave up there. You know, the Rockies did have some stuff that was positive, but part of me is just kind of wondering, I think the Reds might be in for a sneaky little second half of the season here. At least, you know, it might be tough to catch the Brewers at this point for a division lead, but this team's got some interesting potential. This team's got some interesting wrinkles, and this is a team that has interesting young guys, and they're in the mix of a pretty meh division there. St. Louis has heated up a lot of late. I think I saw they're one of the better teams in the NL, but the Reds are starting to play a little bit better baseball. They got swept by the Tigers, but they swept the Yankees, split with the Cardinals. They've at least split with the Rockies. So in their last 3 series, they're starting to heat up a little bit after a tough little stretch there. But this is definitely a team that's going to be a team to watch. I think that when you watch this team, you can see that there are some flashes of intrigue there. But I think a lot of fans there are sitting there and saying the same thing. It's a little crazy that this team, the Reds, can't play well at home. I mean, the 21-26 at home for the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, there's still time to switch that around, but that's something you really can't get away with as it's getting later in the season. And you know, I think that in the Rockies case, you get reminded, even with how good that Cal Quantrill has been, it doesn't always go the way that you want. But for the Rockies, it's just a matter of, again, how do you negate these tough stretches after the good ones, and how do you really just start breaking things up, because it has not been kind to the Rockies of late. And I mean, the Rockies in their last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In the last 10 games, the Rockies are 500. They're 5-5, which is all right. But you scroll back a little bit, there's, you know, there's just so many consistent losses in a row, and we've harped on this before, but just scrolling back up to the Twin Series, it's, you know, series loss to the Pirates, series loss to the Dodgers, series loss to the Nationals, series loss to the Astros, series loss to the White Sox, split series with the Brewers, and finally winning their first series of I believe the month, or even in the last like 6 or 7. It's just, I don't even know what analysis to give you from the game last night, other than highlighting, of course, the fact that Brenton Doyle is super good. I mean that's like that. That is the one thing, because it's a 5 spot in the second, and the Rockies do come back and have a big, you know, a big moment, right? But then it all falls apart, and unfortunately, I think the fact of the matter is, the Rockies are going to have a real tough conversation about Justin Lawrence, and unfortunately, it just hasn't worked at all, and I don't know if the Rockies are the team to fix it. I mean, because it's been bad, man. I mean, it has not. I mean, it hasn't. The furthest thing from how I expected it, I think, is how this season has gone for Justin Lawrence. I mean, I still like the arm. I still like the stuff. He seems like a great guy, but in his last 32 innings, he's given up 23 earned runs. He's got 20 walks to 25 strikeouts in that time. He's got an ERA of 6.34. He's given up earned runs in back-to-back appearances. In April, he had an ERA of 8. May drops it to 4.76. June drops it to 3.68. But so far in the month of July, he's got a 13.50 ERA. He's given up 6 earned runs. He's already given up 2 home runs. He's walked 3. He's walked the same amount of people he struck out. Last month, he walked more people than he struck out. And that case is that he hasn't had a significant difference in walk to strikeouts since April, where he walked 4 batters and struck out 10. Unfortunately, every single thing is going up as the season's going on. The whip is going up. The average is going up. Everything else is going up. The ERA is up. And I just don't know. I mean, maybe it's just a year where Lawrence and the Rockies just got to go through it. But it's abundantly clear that we know Justin Lawrence will not be the closer of this team. Going into the season, I thought he would. And man, it's that one's tough. It's tough to bring up Justin Lawrence. It's tough to watch Justin Lawrence right now, just because I had such high expectations for him this year. I didn't think he was going to be the next Mariano Rivera. I didn't think he was going to do it, but I was like, that type of bullpen presence for the Rockies, if it works, is going to be great. And it ain't working right now. It just is. Legit. I think I can safely say. I think I can after last night's game. I've mentioned this before, but I think I can safely say that my most disappointing Rocky this year is Justin Lawrence. I don't want to be in that camp. I don't want to be in that mindset. But I mean, man, Rocky, there was Rocky's Twitter talking about he's done in the majors. And it's just like, man, there's just so much to like about the game. And then but he can't hit his spots. And then when he does, he's punished tremendously for it. You know, he had a solid, you know, he does have the stretches. I mean, but it's unfortunate when it goes bad, it goes really bad. From June 25th till July 2nd, Justin Lawrence didn't allow any earned runs. But in his past 2 appearances, he's let up 6. And I mean, there are stretches where he's gone scoreless. He hasn't allowed earned runs. So there is something there. I was just hoping for more. I was hoping for dominance from Justin Lawrence this year because I thought he had some dominance in him. But he has not shown that this year, and we'll see if that changes. I want to circle back and point out one more thing about away teams. I want to also talk a little bit about Brenton Doyle. We are going to do that coming up in segment number 3, today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes, where is it? There it is, PrizePicks. PrizePicks. It is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. So it's your knowledge. You can pick the players. It's not like you're going to miss out on some of your players or who you want. If you're feeling confident about this matchup with this player, this guy versus this guy, Ellie De La Cruz versus the Rockies, well, you can go, and it's just you versus the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, hits, strikeouts, stolen bases, stuff like that. And you can watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. PrizePicks community, like I said, over 5 million active members. With all the stuff going on this summer, if you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every week, from lowering select player stat projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit, or getting your entry fee back on Fridays if you have a losing lineup. Download the PrizePick app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. We are free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. You can find your team every day. Shout out to our everydayers out there. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. And reminder, go check out Locked On Sports today if you're looking for 24/7 sports coverage. And SiriusXM's got you covered all season long for your Colorado Rockies play-by-play and lots more. Okay, folks. Wanted to just highlight the fact that Brenton Doyle hit 2 more home runs last night, and he is insane. This is from Patrick Lines. Doyle has hit nearly a half mile of homers in July, and now also from Patrick Lines. Brenton Doyle, he now leads, at least this was at the point last night. I don't know if it changed, but the Rockies with other games. But as of 11 hours ago, according to X, Brenton Doyle leads all qualified NL center fielders in home runs, doubles, OPS, and stolen bases. All qualified NL center fielders in home runs, doubles, OPS, and stolen bases. That means he's better than Jackson Merrill. He's better than Jazz Chisholm. He's better than Harrison Bader. He's better than Cody Bellinger. He's better than Corbin Carroll. He's better than, those are some pretty impressive names, I would say. Better than Johan Rojas. I mean, and it's unreal. And it probably won't be like this for the rest of the season. You know, this is probably a hot stretch and adjustments happen, but it doesn't. He's been the version of himself we've wanted this year. I mean, there was so much focus on Tovar and Jones, right? And all it was man, we just can't keep talking about enough how it was like Brenton Doyle just has to like get on base somehow. Just has to get on base, and then we'll see, and then he can do what he does. And instead, he's a Rockies leader in home runs. He's one of the Rockies' best offensive threats. He's one of the Rockies' best players. There's an argument. I think some might say it in this bubble right now. And it might not, like I said, it might change. But there's an argument that Brenton Doyle is the best player on the Rockies, at least for right now. It's totally subjective. It can totally change. It's totally depends on consistency. Absolutely. But when you're looking at what Brenton Doyle does, and when you're looking at what Brenton Doyle is doing for the Rockies, elite Gold Glove center field defense, team leader in stolen bases, team leader in home runs, leading center fielders across baseball in multiple categories. I mean, there's an argument that he should have been an all-star. I mean, truly, if this week happened a week before, there's an argument that he's in the all-star game over Ryan McMahon. And honestly, though, it goes back, and I still think that the Rockies had 3 cases for all-stars: Brenton Doyle, Ryan McMahon, and Ezekiel Tovar. Even when Tovar scuffling a little bit, it's been tough for him. He's going through it right now, Tovar, but I still faith. But amidst all the frustration, amidst all the annoyance stuff, man, Brenton Doyle is still going out there every day, looking to do his job and looking to do his job effectively as well. I wanted to close as we talked about road performance and that being a, basically an indicator that you're a good team, a playoff caliber team. Teams that are currently above 500 on the road or at 500 on the road. Tampa Bay, St. Louis, Atlanta, Cincinnati, all 500 on the road. Milwaukee, San Diego, the New York Mets, the Minnesota Twins, all in the, slightly above 500. Cleveland, Philly, the Dodgers, Yankees, Boston, and Baltimore, all at 55+ win percentage on the road. What can you tell me about all of those teams? Playoff teams that at least are still in the race and in the hunting. The Reds, you can't count them out there. I know that some of these teams on that list might be sellers and punt on this season. But if you play well on the road, you are putting yourself in a position to be not only a playoff team, but an elite team in baseball. Because if you're telling me that Baltimore isn't one of the best teams in baseball, Boston, why are they rocketing up through the power rankings on Locked On right now? Well, I think being 29-17 on the road would help. Baltimore's 28-16 on the road. The Yankees are 30-19 on the road. The Dodgers 26-18. Philly 24-18. Cleveland 27-22. Minnesota, 25-21. So I could go on. Colorado, 12-33. On par with Oakland at 12-34. The White Sox at 10-37. Miami at 14-28. Why has the Cubs season been struck down this year? Why are they going to be sellers? Well, there's a multiple of reasons, but here's a big one. 18-28 on the road. The Giants, I know they're still fighting, and they're an interesting team. 19-27 on the road. That's why you're not hearing a ton about them, or at least part of it. So just, it's as the Rockies are looking at this, as the Rockies continue to try to crack the code, finding out how to play on the road is essential to that path to success. Folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB. Or if you need more Colorado sports coverage, check out Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, or Locked On Buffs, all available on your favorite streaming services. Hey, when you like the videos, when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, when you leave 5-star reviews and write a review, you're really helping the show grow. Really appreciate that. And folks, until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.